Welcome to the Overthinking Podcast, where pop culture meets science and we cut through the noise so you don't have to. We're your hosts, Bree
and Kelsey.
And after years of navigating a male-dominated, money-driven fitness industry, we're done watching women get fed half-truths and straight-up lies about health. We've made the mistakes, we've bought into the myths, we've tried the gimmicks, so you don't have to.
Now, we're bringing you the real talk. No filters, no fluff, just evidence-based insights with a side of pop culture, humor, and the occasional existential crisis. Whether it's the latest wellness trend or the everyday struggles of being a woman in this space, we're here to unpack it all so you can level up your health with facts, not fads. So, grab your matcha
or your margarita
and let's overthink it together.
We're going to start each episode with our favorite little game called This or That. And today's This or That is, what is your preferred high snack? Is it something sweet or is it something savory?
I'm a big salty girl, especially when glazed. Yeah, so like wild chicken chips, like that's my jam.
That's your jam. Okay, and if you were to choose one sweet, what would it be?
I mean, any sort of cookie for sure. Or ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Ben and Jerry's, come on. Can't beat it.
Yeah. I'm definitely more of a sweet gal, and I've been really hooked on my Ninja Creamy for a long time. If you know me,
You are a creamy girl.
I'm a pretty creamy girl, and I'm pretty obsessed with it. It's like my own homemade Cold Stone, but it's all protein. So I don't know if that's just like disordered eating talking or if it's actually like really good, but I think it's really good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I've definitely made my fair share of Ninja Creamies thanks to your teachings.
Forced.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's so important is like having snacks that you can have regularly that are maybe a little more mindful. And I think this is a good topic for our episode topic today, which is, you know, how lifting changed your life. And we all grew up in the 90s. Well, I don't know about all of our listeners, but you and I both grew up in the 90s. And the body dysmorphia that we came out with from Britney Spears' low-rise jeans, amongst others, is unmatched.
Yeah.
So how has what sometimes feels toxic in fitness also been a saving grace for you?
Wow. We are just going to dive right into it. You know, we grew up in the 90s when everything was telling us that we needed to be smaller and skinnier and kind of frail. And it really wasn't until recently that this wave of supporting women in being strong from a societal lens. So being a young athlete, I didn't know, my connection to my body was completely thrown off. I was growing up but being told eat less and move more, and I was an athlete. So I actually didn't want to be skinny and frail. I wanted to be strong and powerful. And I just was always met with this crossroads of, should I, eat less and, go to the gym with my dad after basketball practice? So being an athlete, I wasn't taught to fuel to perform. I was taught to fuel to look a certain way for society. And it wasn't until high school when I really started to get curious about how to better take care of my body. My sophomore year, I started to get a little bit more curious about how to better take care of my body, and really because I wanted to get looked at for colleges. I wanted to get stronger and have more of an edge. So I walked into the weight room, and the workout for the day was power cleans. That was my first introduction to lifting weights ever.
Wow.
Growing up, my dad was a Division I football player, like always really been into going to the gym, but
they just threw you into the fire.
Right. And so I would go with my dad to like go to the gym. He's like, we're going to go work out. And so my concept of working out was 30 minutes on the elliptical and 30 minutes on the Stairmaster. And it wasn't until really this moment
How old were you?
I mean, I started going to the gym with him when I was like 7 or 8 years old.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like really young.
Damn.
Yeah, like super young. Like I would just step on the elliptical with him. And then in high school, I went into the weight room as we're supposed to do. And even in like PE and nothing, like we were never taught to lift weights. Like, yes, in PE you do like push-ups and like some resistance, but it's nothing externally loaded. Yeah. And so I walk into the weight room and they're like, all right, we're doing power cleans. Like, how comfortable are you with those? And I was like, I don't know. And so he goes through the whole, Bergner warm up and teaching. So like, it was a decent education, but I left that day with like a massive bruise across my chest because I had just caught the bar with my like sternum.
You didn't know what the fuck you were doing.
I didn't know what I was doing.
Were there other girls around you at that time, or
there
was
were no
it
other
you
girls.
and other boys?
It was just me and other boys.
Wow.
I just wanted to walk in and I wanted to get strong.
Did you always have that confidence to just like show up to the gym like, yeah, I belong here, or did you have to just like develop that muscle?
Even when I'm looking and feeling my absolute best, there are absolutely situations where I'll be nervous to walk into a new place. Actually,
sure.
I took a Performance 360 class just for funsies the other day, and no shit, the first thing that the teacher asked me is, how comfortable are you with power cleans?
Oh my God.
I'm literally not kidding you.
We're reliving this trauma.
I know. So buckle in and relive this trauma with us. So when I first started lifting, it was power cleans, right? But then I started staying there a little bit more. I learned other movements. And then it wasn't until my freshman year of college that I came back, and one of my best friends who'd found CrossFit was like kind of witnessing me not wanting to train for college rowing. D1 rowing, I was just like burnt out. And so, yeah. And so he's like, well, come to a CrossFit class with me. It'll be good cross training for you.
Yep.
And that's when everything changed for me. I learned how to do things properly.
So that person was pivotal in your transition, we'll call it, to having fitness as a saving grace and something that supports your lifestyle to something that just feels like it's something that you're supposed to do.
Yeah. And his name's Kirk Warner. He's still a good friend of mine. And yeah, I went to regionals just to go watch. He's like, just come watch. I went to regionals, loved it. I was like, oh my God, this is so fun. Look at this. And then every summer I just kept lifting more and more. And then when I went back to University of San Diego that fall, I stepped into this role with the weight training team and asked them if I could support the team and like learn more about why we were doing what we were doing. And so after each weight session, before we went to go row after, I would stay after for 5 or 10 minutes and just talk to the weight coach and just kind of go through his process of why we did what we did. And then I actually stepped into an even bigger role in Division I rowing because my head coach wanted me to help make the strength program. So
wow.
I already...
And you knew nothing about like programming for strength at that time?
No, I'd only known what this varsity weight coach...
You literally were just thrown in from the beginning, 7 years old, straight into the fighting ring.
Yeah. And then again, when I was like 18, 19.
But that's worked out for you. Like,
yeah.
I feel like not a lot of women have that experience. I think a lot of people have had to approach lifting from a more complacent, I don't know if that's the right word, but timid place of like trying to figure out a gym setting on their own, whereas you had amazing support of like your dad, Kirk, people that like helped bring you up.
For sure. I'm really lucky in the way that my dad put me in sports super young, so I had an opportunity to express a relationship to my body that was beyond just how it looks, and that is exactly where, that crossroads was, is that I wanted to look like these Sports Illustrated models and the Victoria's Secret models that walked on stage. What is that show? That was so traumatizing.
Oh God, what was it?
The Victoria's Secret fashion show.
No, what was her name? Oh, the Victoria's Secret fashion show. But what
Yes.
was the top model?
Yes. Oh my God. Talk about the 90s. Holy
Yes.
shit. So, like, between
trauma.
watching, like, intaking all of this, watching these women be celebrated for looking a certain way, which was so different than my body type.
Mm-hmm.
I am 5'9", and my happy weight's like 170.
Right.
And
Which is so reasonable. And people get so afraid of like what a number means.
I was literally that size in 8th grade.
Wow.
So I stuck out like a sore thumb. And so I tried to shrink myself for years and years and years and years, like a lot of us did.
Yeah.
And then when I found that, CrossFit and women were being celebrated for being strong and carrying heavy things and running faster than other people, I was like, wow, this is what a celebration of fitness really means. Obviously, anyone who knows me knows that I don't fully subscribe or haven't fully subscribed to the idea and methodology of CrossFit for a long time. But I do think that CrossFit gave us a really monumental gift as a woman in fitness.
It's done a lot for just like the fitness community altogether. I mean, I think the good thing that came out of CrossFit was the community that they were able to build, especially and including people that don't have gym experience. They brought in people that have never worked out before. Granted, we can have our own opinions about that. But just like you were thrown into the fire, you figured it out. Like, I think it instills a certain level of confidence in someone who maybe doesn't know what they're doing. They now have a support system of community around them in a gym setting that they belong to, and they are thrown into the fire, which inherently builds confidence of like, okay, you cannot know something and still do it anyway.
Right. And I think the red thread here is that there's a difference between being thrown into the fire and there's a difference between being thrown into the fire with a little bit of support.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Because I walked into the gym with someone else.
Yeah.
I walked into the training room and there was a coach there. And I see a lot of people in the gyms that we coach people at now, you know, big like Globo gyms and, you know, normal commercial gyms. People walk in with this bewildered look. They look around, you see what someone else is doing, and then kind of try to mirror that once they're done with what they're doing.
Yeah.
Or you're on Instagram and you're just like looking around for different movements, like, oh, I'll bookmark this and try this. Having guidance, even if someone doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about, someone else there just to be a supportive role to you. And that's part of why I love remote coaching, is that even though I'm not there in person with my clients, they know what they're supposed to do, the intent behind their training, what to do if they reach whatever obstacle that we've already navigated and kind of pre-thought out together. And if they don't know something, they have someone to go to.
Right.
And I think that a lot of, to your point, what CrossFit brought to us was that fitness can be a community thing. It can be something that we always are learning and trying to get better at through different modalities and different movements. And the other thing is that I think that having someone in your corner who gives a shit about you, that's just beyond your partner, your best friend, like, I am a trusted source to my clients 50, sometimes hundreds of miles away.
For sure. Even when it feels like silly, like sometimes they're like, oh, sorry for asking you this. I'm like, no, please, like there's no dumb questions, but those are important too. Like from something as simple as like, which peanut butter option is better, like that in your opinion, just having that resource available is helpful.
Yeah. And I would say that the biggest thing that changed my life when it came to body image and body composition and kind of figuring out just where I fit in the landscape of body composition. And I think also having a coach and being a coach, it helps us navigate some of the misconceptions that a lot of people come to us with. And one of the biggest misconceptions that I had was that women should be lifting higher rep, lower weight, and should be adding cardio into their lifting in order to get this kind of like lean, toned 90s body, which we know now that's kind of on point. If you want to be skinny fat, lift pretty light weights, stick to the cardio, manage your nutrition as your way of managing your body composition.
I think that's what we know now, why it's so important to have an appropriate intensity built into your strength programming so that you're consistently challenged week to week.
Right. And I think that the other, alternatively to being skinny fat is like people are so scared about getting bulky. And I would challenge any and all women to try your hardest to get bulky.
It's so hard.
The girls who are quote unquote bulky are trying really hard to look that way.
Or on some things that may not be legal.
And no shame in that game at all.
Not at all.
If that is your goal and you want to use things like that, we support you finding your best and most supportive situation with that.
I think it's also important to make that known to the girls that may not even know what that looks like.
Right. Yeah. And I think for me, the moment of struggle was around actually that. I was comparing myself. So if we fast forward through college and after CrossFit, I was competing in the highest level of CrossFit and still didn't look the way that the other CrossFitters did. I was eating like 1,500 calories a day and training like 4 hours a day.
Wow.
And then going to go work on my feet for another 8-hour shift.
So depleted.
And I was so depleted. And I was so sad because I was craving all this sugar. I was in a bad mood. My hair was falling out. I couldn't sleep. Like my relationship went to absolute shit. I was living in Hawaii, which is like 500 miles and a flight away from my family and everything I'd ever known, born and raised in California.
Yeah.
So the turning point for me was actually realizing that some of these women that I was comparing myself to, one, either weren't set up for success in the same way that I was, or that I actually just needed to step into listening to my body's cues. So when it came to finally learning how to feel for my body and train, lifting became my safe haven. And when I transitioned out of CrossFit and more into traditional resistance training and athletic bodybuilding, training became fun again, and it wasn't like a chore. Like growing up, training was a punishment. Going to the gym was a punishment because I ate too many calories, or I thought that I did, or because my dad did and I probably should too. And then fast forward, I was going to the gym because I had to train and I had to do these workouts to compete, but it was never from a place of like self-love.
Your pendulum swung the other way.
Yes, exactly. And that's such a theme in my life. And now I found this place where I will put training during a time where I feel the lowest motivation. Because I love my training so much. I trained last night at like 5 p.m. when I didn't want to.
And it's just so much more accessible when you're doing it from a place of like maintenance too. And like, I don't know, you have to do a lot of work to get to this maintenance place, but it takes so much less input once you've gotten to this place that, you know, you can go in for an easy training session, or maybe you woke up tired that day, or maybe you're on your cycle and you're just not really feeling it. But if you give yourself permission to do that, like, you know what, just show up, just go through the motions, you usually end up having a great workout.
Actually, I would say almost better. Because there is that moment, there's that turning point where you're like, okay, I'm in it. You know what? I hated this, but I'm here and I'm in it. So overall, I think the big takeaway here is that when you think about where lifting fits into your life, or if you're someone who's in a burnout cycle right now and lifting just doesn't seem fun or exciting to you, choose the time of day where you feel the most inclined, which is typically in the morning when your activation energy is a bit higher, your cortisol is already a little bit high. So if you're someone who's trying to find that consistency, train in the morning.
In other words, I always say eat the frog, which means do the thing you don't want to do first. If you don't want to do that hard thing at work, you do it first. If you don't want to train, if you don't want to work out, do it first. Obviously, there's nuance here. Like most people start work pretty early, and that's not feasible, in which case do it when it works for your schedule. Some is going to be better than none, but I always say eat the frog because
I love eat the frog, and I actually like what you said. I would say even if someone does work early, use fitness to get your brain woken up. You know, when you move your body and you're pumping blood into your muscles, it's getting blood to your brain. And if you're also someone who's struggling with low motivation from a fitness perspective, you're probably struggling with it from a life perspective too. And I know for myself, they always go hand in hand. And so when I am in a season where I'm like, curious or ready to start investing more energy into myself, I will always start with fitness. And even if it is 15 minutes, if I have to wake up at 6 a.m. for work, I'm going to wake up at 6:45 and I'm just going to set my clock for 10 minutes. How many, push-ups, sit-ups can I do? Or maybe I'm just going to go for a walk, and that's just how you start the idea of creating movement in your morning.
So if you could tell someone who's hesitant about lifting one thing, what would it be?
I think let's take it back to the beginning. I mean, just if you are able financially, hire a coach. That will truly be the best investment you will ever make. Do your research or reach out to us. We're happy to support you in finding the right coach, but having a coach is a trusted resource. They're an educator, they're a supporter. They're someone who's going to teach you the things that you are going to be struggling to figure out. If you do not have the financial means to hire a coach, I suggest finding a training program that is, something like FBB's training program called Persist. There's a couple other ones. The last thing would be if you cannot financially afford a coach or a program, there is so much cool free stuff out there. And honestly, Reddit's pretty good. Even ChatGPT.
Even if you just, I literally started with YouTube watching the Tone It Up workout videos. Just start something at home.
Like the Insanity Days. But above all else, I'm sure you have a friend who is a little bit more advanced fitness-wise than you. Just ask them, hey, if I buy you a coffee or a meal after our workout, can I just follow what you're doing?
And people love to teach. People love to share their knowledge. I've always been a fan of the mentor method. Find someone that's doing maybe 1 or 2 steps where you want to be. Find someone that you idolize and that they can be a mentor for you, whether it's professional, fitness, whatever.
And you may think, okay, I'm taking up their time and their energy. Most people who are in fitness will tell you if they don't want to train with someone else. And, there's so many people in the gym who just want to support. And I mean, I find that myself too. I'll be looking around and be like, oh, I just want to go and
Yeah.
help this person, but it's so faux pas to be
Yeah.
like, hey, can I correct your form?
I literally love when I see someone looking at a piece of equipment or a machine or a handle and like trying to figure it out. I'm like, can I show you how to use that? Like, that's
Yes.
literally my favorite thing.
That is like golden nugget,
Yeah.
diamond in the rough moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's so many times you look around and you're just like, I could for sure teach you how to do that a lot better, but then you don't want to make anyone feel bad.
Yep.
So yeah, overall, I think my biggest learning is that one, just because somebody else on social media or is doing something one way, it doesn't have to be your way, and your journey is always going to be the biggest educator to you. But I do highly suggest picking a coach or a trusted friend to guide you through just the first steps so that you don't have to flounder and potentially hold yourself back from finding your flow in fitness.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was great. Thanks for sharing your journey. I feel like mine is pretty similar, but I have an interesting take. So in which case, if you want to hear about how lifting changed my life, stay tuned for episode 2 and like and subscribe. We'd love to hear some comments, feedback, and we will talk to you guys soon on the next episode.
And you better comment your this or that.